Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Cal's Corner on BBlock. This is going to be a first. We have a very special guest on today's show. This is going to be a weekly segment here that we're hosting on BBlock. I'm your boy, Ben Twan, and I have my very special guest here today, Cal Toro. How are you today, man?
I mean, with that introduction, I don't know how to feel right now. How do I live up to these expectations?
Dude, I'm glad you're here today. We have a lot of exciting stuff to get into today. It's also Pi Day. Cal reminded me before I jumped on the show today. Cal was like, it's Pi Day, dude. We got to celebrate it. I was like, let's do it.
It's time for pie. I don't have any in front of me, but later on I'm going to go out and pick up some baked goods. 3.14159 all day.
Can you say the full pie? Like the actual spelled out full version of the pi number?
Well, the pi goes to infinity, so no. But 3.14159 is as far as I get, which is more than most people. So I feel good about myself.
I was going to say I only know 3.14, so you got me beat. But, dude, let's go ahead and get into the markets today. I know this was a pretty big week for Bitcoin. We had new all-time highs, 60K. Now it's kind of hovering around this mark. Cal, what are you seeing out on the markets this past weekend, this weekend, really?
Well, this past week was absolutely crazy because it's just been a full uptrend all week. There were some ups and downs. There's some bumps in the road. It dropped down. People were, of course, calling for the bears because every time Bitcoin drops a little bit, people freak out since the beginning of Bitcoin. But it's obviously higher. We hit 62K, which is a brand new all-time high. I can't believe that. Breaking through the previous one of like 58,500. And, if it drops down to 58,500, I'm not going to be too worried because we're still in a bull trend in terms of the crypto markets, higher highs and higher lows. So going out of the weekend into the next week, I don't know. I'm not a technical analysis guy.
Yeah, but Cal, what would be your prediction? I mean, all right, let's just get a quick prediction. I don't know if you feel comfortable doing this or not, but I'm gonna do it anyways. By the end of 2021, what are we seeing? We've seen crazy predictions out there. We've seen 300K, we've seen 100K. Like, what if you had to put your money on a price point or a level, let's say, what are you thinking by the end of this year?
I mean, by the end of 2021, if we're not at 100K, I will be surprised. I think that we have a number of fundamental things going for us. You've got companies like Fidelity getting into it. You've obviously got MicroStrategy, Mass Mutual, the Tesla, a number of big names are getting into it. And so I think that now that these big names are into it, other people and other corporations and companies are going to be a lot more likely to at least throw some money into it. And so I think once that happens en masse, once people buying Bitcoin is an everyday occurrence, I think it's just going to shoot up higher because we're not printing any more of them. I mean, well, we're mining them, but there's a limited supply that's verifiable. And so I think up until 2021 and then even higher after that.
I hope you're right. And my bold prediction is that I think we'll see 100K in the next 30 days. I just think this momentum from the stimulus bill that's about to drop in the States, 1.9 trillion, how much of that is going to go into Bitcoin or cryptos is my question. It's like, I think a fair share of that. People realize, like I saw this statistic the other day, it's like more people saved or invested their past stimulus checks than spent their stimulus checks. Well, I thought it was interesting because it's like, if you're getting free money, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to go buy something like a TV or, put a down payment on a new car? Or are you going to go invest that and turn it into something much bigger? And I saw a stimulus check for the first go around. If you would have saved it, invested in Bitcoin, it's now $10,000. So it's like, holy shit, that's pretty fucking awesome.
That's a lot. Wow. $10,000?
I don't know if that was right though. This was like one of those like Instagram, kind of screenshots where it was like, if you would have saved your stimulus check, it would be now $10,000. I was like, it's definitely appreciated way more though. Even if it's the 2K that they gave out and then the other additional K, like I guess that's 3,000 that could have turned into 10,000. But
I believe it. I think we're going to see a record number of people taking their $1,400 and putting into things like Coinbase, because I know the last stimulus, round, Coinbase saw a record number of deposits of exactly $1,200, which was just all stimulus. So, yeah, man, let's do it again. Pump it up only.
Pump those bags. Let's go. And while we're on the topic of Bitcoin here, we did have a short little thing, an idea, a strategy, a concept, if you will, about taking profits with Bitcoin. And I thought this was interesting to bring up because Cal and I, do see Bitcoin as a store of value. But at the end of the day, like, should you take profits? Is there a point that you would ever look at take profits on Bitcoin? If so, how would that be done? Tell us a little bit more about maybe some ideas that you had about this.
Well, yeah, there's a couple things. Taking profits directly on Bitcoin for myself. Oh, and again, by the way, none of this is financial advice. Entertainment purposes only. Hashtag not financial advice. Educational and edutainment.
Yeah.
For something like Bitcoin, I don't think there's any point in selling any right now, since I believe we're still in an uptrend. Having said that, of course, if you're looking at life-changing money, if you've been investing in Bitcoin since 2013, 2014, 2015, obviously, talk to a lawyer, talk to an accountant. If you can retire, by all means, that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
So if you are going to take profits out in Bitcoin, it'd be US dollars or in Tether, whatever. But one of the other things that I have to give credit to Stillman off Twitter is that he was saying that if you're taking profits in altcoins, because altcoins are going to probably be a lot more volatile than Bitcoin, what he was saying was actually taking profit half in Tether or a stable coin, and then taking half of your profit in Bitcoin because it is a store of value. The world is waking up to it more as a store of value, so you might as well just take some of your profits in and put it in there, and then the rest in a stable coin or whatever fraction you want to do.
I love that idea. And that's the first time I'm hearing of this, is taking your profits in Bitcoin. How smart is that? I'm more kind of like to the far extreme in regards to the store value of Bitcoin. Like, I want to get as much of it as I can, and I want to hold it, and I want to never lose it, and I never want to spend it, kind of thing. So I think that's a great way if you are trading altcoins. It's like, yeah, you want to eventually take some profits from those more volatile assets. What's better than just putting into Bitcoin or Tether, like you mentioned? I don't think, in my opinion, I would ever want to take profits and then pull them into USD. You're taking this pristine currency, and then you're just turning it into toilet paper, essentially, like, in my opinion.
Especially with the 1.9 trillion or however other many stimuluses come out. You might as well keep it in something that is going to at least hold its value over time.
Yeah, exactly right, man. But this does bring up the next segment of today's show. This is the BSC yield farms, and I know you and I have been dabbling a little bit here. None of this is promotional. We're just talking about the space today on Binance Smart Chain and the yield farm madness. This is essentially DeFi Summer 2.0 that's been happening here over the past month, really. So Cal, like, what have you been seeing on Binance Smart Chain? First of all, tell us, what is Binance Smart Chain? What's been happening in the ecosystem, and what are you seeing from your perspective?
How much time you got, Benton?
Yeah, I got all night.
So, okay, there's a number of questions in there. So first up, Binance Smart Chain. Binance Smart Chain is a blockchain that is smart contract compatible. So the same way that Ethereum is a blockchain that is able to execute smart contracts, Binance can do the same thing. For the technical people in the crowd, Binance Smart Chain is actually EVM compatible or Ethereum virtual machine compatible, which means that it's easier for developers to take their smart contracts from Ethereum and put them on Binance Smart Chain. The reason why we like Binance Smart Chain or BSC so much is because it's faster than Ethereum. The fees are much less than Ethereum. And if you've ever tried to, go on Uniswap or do a swap with Ethereum, the fees can be $20, $40, $60, $100. Benton, you gave a sigh of acknowledgement.
I did, because I'm so bullish on BSC. It's not even funny, man. Like, I am so sick and tired of Ethereum gas fees. They are absolutely killing me. It really pushes me away from Ethereum. Like, and I'm not here to shit on Ethereum. I think it will be around. It's going to be here to stay. But God, these growing pains of having these gas fees just suck. It makes me not want to use their blockchain at all. And BSC is like the fine-tuned version. And a lot of people's argument that I've heard about BSC is like, oh, well, it's centralized, it's owned by Binance. I'm like, well, actually it's really not a bad thing, because I've had transactions get stuck on BSC, and I've been able to reach out to their dev team community support, and they've got it unstuck for me and then sent my funds back. So like, yeah, I mean, that's pretty sweet if you ask me.
I think it is too. I think it is too. I have no problem with it, being centralized or anything along those lines, because really what all I'm trying to do is, get in farms, get out of farms, make my profit, take my money and run.
Yeah.
You can do that much faster on Binance Smart Chain than with Ethereum.
Exactly. And like, your transactions are getting stuck. You're not paying hundreds of dollars in gas fees. You're paying like nickels and dimes and quarters for a lot of these fees to get in and out of these pools. To approve contracts, all of that kind of stuff. All right. So talk to me more about like the yield farming on Binance Smart Chain. And I know we kind of said it was similar to the DeFi summer that we saw on the Ethereum blockchain. But like, dude, there's so much popping up. It's like whack-a-mole right now. I can't keep track of everything.
It's totally like whack-a-mole. If you guys were here for the DeFi summer, you know that there were a lot of yield farms, just people making money on top of money, whether it's lending and borrowing, whether you're getting compensated in reward tokens for providing liquidity. Basically what BSC does is it takes all that and it turbocharges it and makes it super fast. So all that to say, the Ethereum fees are too damn high. So that's where I'm Binance Smart Chain. So what I'm seeing, okay, so there's a number of things that I'm seeing on Binance Smart Chain right now. One, we're actually seeing products getting recognition. You've got swaps like Pancake Swap getting recognition. You've got things like Bakery Swap. You've got all these other just AMMs or automated market makers that are pulling the same idea that Uniswap had and making it a lot cheaper and less expensive. Okay, so we know that, boom, out of the way. Now that we have that and we have products being created on it, we are seeing a growing level of sophistication into the space. So one of the things that I'm a big fan of is something called Beefy Finance, or the Beefy Vaults. And what this does is it allows you to, once you're getting into a yield farm, to have the entire back end process completely automated. So you get into a yield farm, you say, you know what, I'm going to take my liquidity tokens, put them on Beefy, and Beefy is just going to, every 3 hours or 4 hours, but multiple times a day, it's going to harvest my yields, reinvest my yields back in my liquidity tokens, which means my liquidity grows, which means that my rewards grow. So TLDR allows you to get into yield farms and then just passively compound over time. I sometimes refer to it as the set it and forget it model, if you're old enough to remember those old commercials.
Yeah, I do.
I think it's great. Should we do a screen share so I can actually show people what I'm talking about?
Let's show off Beefy, because they always deserve the credit here. Cal Toro showed me Beefy. This was, I don't know, a couple months ago, dude. Like, this thing is now, it's like, let's walk this back a little bit too. Is like, Beefy modeled themselves after Yam Finance and pretty much took a very, very similar model, not the same, and brought it over to Binance Smart Chain. And like, this is one of my favorite protocols / projects on BSC because of what you're about to see here.
Absolutely. So the first thing I do, so this is the website. The first thing that I like to do is I like to compare this kind of to traditional banking. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some stable coins, because most people have a bank account. You're getting whatever 0.01 or 0.03% in your savings account or a checkings account. So if we go here and say, okay, well, you're getting that APY in your bank account. Let's look at something like USDC. So we've got USDC and you're getting 6.17% APY. So that's a lot better than 0.09%. That's great.
Right.
We got USDT 6.74%. That's amazing too. Again, we're comparing this all to what you're already getting in your bank account. Or if we're providing a liquidity pair of USDT and BUSD, Tether and BUSD, both stable coins, I'm getting 14.44% APY.
You'd love to see it.
Love to see it. I put it in this protocol, and it's doing its thing. It's using the pancake swap protocol. In this vault, we've actually got over $400,000 TVL. So this looks great to me. You can see that there are a couple vaults are paused. This happens from time to time, but Beefy's got your back. Beefy knows what's going on. And if we actually look at some of these other things like DAI BUSD, I mean, good Lord, 24%, or Ethereum BUSD, 33%. I mean, it's do your own research, not financial advice, but it's passive yields. It's passive yields, it's passive gains.
Yeah. So like while we're on this, dude, do you want to pull up the daily compound calculator?
Oh, the daily compound calculator. Yes. Give me a second. Daily compound. Here we go.
There it is. Yes. And I think this will really, really put things into perspective for people. So like, let's just say we have like, I don't know what, like 5K that we're willing to lose, because in DeFi, you have to be willing to lose everything you invest, essentially. Because that's how DeFi is. It's very Wild West right now. Bugs, hacks, exploits, you name it, it happens. But the upside is there, in my opinion. And that's really, really kind of what it comes down to. But we have the daily compound calculator here, Cal, if you want to walk us through this.
Absolutely. So this is from the calculator site. The website is up here. This is a really good way just to figure out if you invested at what percentage rate, what you would get. So we have our 5K in here. And then if we go back to, let's do the DAI one, 0.06% daily. So we have 0.06% daily. And let's put it in here for a year. Include weekends, yes, because crypto never sleeps. We're investing all of our funds in here, no additional deposits, and we're going to click calculate. And so it shows that we would actually gain, over $1,200
in the entire year.
In the entire year, passive gains.
And that's huge, because these are just the stablecoin pools on Beefy. Like there's a lot of other pools that will yield higher APYs, yet are, in my opinion, more risky. But if you're looking for something very steady Eddie, where it's a very passive way to yield more than what you would in a bank account, like this is what the future is going to look like. And this is why DeFi, in my opinion, is so important. Like, what are your thoughts about what Beefy is doing and similar projects in the space?
So I think this is nothing short of revolutionary for a couple of reasons. One, it's allowing people like you and me. Now, I do have to say that there is a kind of a higher technical barrier to entry. I've helped a lot of people get into this. This is not something that the average Joe is going to get into. Like if I tried to help my mom get into this, she would be like, "What are you doing, Cal? This is just internet magic." So that's why people don't know about this. But once you get into the system, once you actually get this thing up and running, it's crazy, because the 0.06% daily or the 24% APY. I mean, most people are happy if they get like 7 to 8% returns from the stock market.
Right.
And we are, by orders of magnitude, by like, 3xing that.
Yeah.
And so this is a real great way for people who are able to learn the system, who are willing to lose everything, to actually, passively stack gains over time. Now, as I'm explaining this, I'm thinking about a couple of friends that I have. Some are full degen, some are Bitcoin maximalists. And my Bitcoin maximalist buddy, he's like, there's no way I'm going to put money into this. And I'm like, okay, but check this out. What if you did this for like 6 months or a year, and then you took those gains and just bought more Bitcoin with it? And then at that point, he was like, well, I still don't like it. And I was like, yeah, I know. But you can appreciate the fact that this is a way just to stack sats over time. I mean, everyone is at this point is in agreement that Bitcoin is a store of value. It's not going away, so you might as well just grow it. And if this is just one avenue, to do it, then why not? Just every week.
I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. Let's show off some of these other vaults on Beefy. Like, so, and these are the stablecoin LPs. Like these next APYs, like you're seeing a lot of projects right now chase APYs. We're not telling you to chase APYs. We're more so just trying to show you like some of these projects are crazy. They're a little outlandish. And you're just like, how the hell is this happening? But I think at the end of the day, like when you're when you're able to find projects that have good fundamentals, good mechanics, which is another project we're going to touch on here shortly, Hyperjump. But I think, walk us through some of these, like, projects here, these vaults that we're seeing, some of those APYs.
Yes, some of these APYs are outlandish. So I'm going to try to build up to those. So one of the other ones that we have here, this is a liquidity pairing. So BTC or Bitcoin on Binance Smart Chain and BNB. So these are the two assets that have done extraordinarily well over the last few weeks. And we have over 100% APY. That's pretty, that's 20%, I'm sorry, 0.2% daily gain. So that's awesome. Now, having said that, there's more risk involved because these aren't stable coins. These are going to go up and down. And of course, there's something called impermanent loss, which can come around and completely ruin your day. But
yes,
this is what's capable. So, we're just going to go to some of the other ones, like Cake from Pancake. APY, 0.36%. That's great. That's awesome. For the sake of the argument, let's just take that 0.3%, 0.36%, throw that into our interest. 0.36% on our 5K over 1 year. And our...
Oh my God.
Are you serious? Come on. Come on. Like, now, Pancake hasn't even been around for a year. So who knows if this will happen, but still, this is what's possible. So maybe you just do it for a week and a half. I don't know. You're
right. I mean, but you bring up a good point. It's like with a lot of these vaults, though, I think the biggest thing that I want to point out is impermanent loss, because when we got one of our buddies involved with this, he had a hard time kind of wrapping his head around it. He's like, well, the token's up. And I'm like, yes, but you have to have the same amount of the other token that you staked in that pool as well. So if one of the tokens goes up, the other one has to they have to stabilize. So like you're actually losing money sometimes when some of these coins go up or when they go down, and that's called impermanent loss. I don't know if that's the best way to explain it, but Cal, if you have a better way to explain impermanent loss, please.
We can definitely cover impermanent loss on another episode.
Okay. I was just saying that's a deep dark rabbit hole, but that is a warning, I think, for a lot of these vaults.
It is a warning. And going back to warnings, I mean, you can see some of these things like Slime, BNB. I don't know what Slime does, but I just got listed on Beefy. 19 million % APY.
Oh my God.
3.39% daily. 3.9% daily. It's insane.
Let's do the calculator on that. Like, this is going to blow
I don't
some
want
people's
to.
minds.
I don't want to. Okay, I'll do it. Was it 3.39?
Yeah, 3.39.
Okay. And this is where, I mean, I don't even, on $5,000. Okay, over a year. If everything stays the same.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You'd be a billionaire.
You'd be a billionaire. So obviously, some people see these numbers and they say, this is a Ponzi scheme. This is unsustainable. There's no way you can do this. You must be some kind of a criminal. This is fake. And for things like, again, I'm not talking bad about Slime Finance at all. We can do this for any other of these crazy high APYs. But yes, this is not sustainable. I don't think anybody believes that you're going to make whatever million % APY. So because it's not going to be able to do that. So for something like this, you're really going to want to, instead of going for the yearly, maybe going by the daily. So if maybe you're just in this for 7 days.
Yeah.
And this is a better way to do it. Okay, so you make $1,300. That's not the quadrillion amount, but this is definitely, if you were trying to do this in any kind of a sustainable way and not lose your shirt, it would be better to do this like by the week or by the day. Because as we all know, like at some point, unless Slime becomes the new standard, there is going to be some kind of hyperinflation. The market's not going to be able to sustain this. So that is the risk reward analysis that you have to make in order to figure out what your risk tolerance is.
Right. And that's something too I think we've been seeing in BSC just in general is not any of these projects in particular, but a lot of these yield farms that have been popping up, we've seen hyperinflation. And I am going to call out Viking Swap because I think that was very much so hyperinflation, and it just completely crumbled and the project ended up shutting down. That's a different story for a different episode, but I have conspiracies about that. But we're seeing a lot of hyperinflation in the space right now as well with a lot of these projects that are popping up.
Correct. And for people who don't or aren't familiar with the term, the long and short of hyperinflation means that they just keep inflating the money supply. It outpaces demand, and therefore, because you just got so much more money than people want, the value of that just goes down tremendously. So if you're printing a trillion reward tokens, there's no way that each one's going to be able to be worth $1, because then you just got $1 trillion somewhere, which is
right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Doge, but I don't think Doge is going to $1, because at that point, what's the supply of Doge, like 900 billion?
Something like that. Something
completely outlandish and crazy.
Yeah.
But going back to these yield farms, I mean, there's a number of these that actually have projects behind them, that there is a team going behind it. So, for example, for Watch, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to Watch this time, but Yield Watch is a token that, the Yield Watch site is free. You go in there, you plug in your wallet, and it basically keeps track of your profits, your losses, your permanent loss. It's basically like a Zapper5, but on Binance Smart Chain, if you guys know what that is. So Watch actually has a full team. It's got utility. And if you're providing liquidity between the Watch token and BNB, then hey, you're getting close to 500% APY. You're getting 0.49% daily. Pretty dang good.
And I will say, I'm a believer in Watch. Like, I don't care what the price is right now. Like, their product is fucking awesome. And I would argue that it, in my opinion, may be better than Zerion or Zapperfi. Just because you can't zap in and out of pools, which is the only knock. But I think their interface, you can see everything, liquidity pool token value, like what's happening, impermanent loss. Like, they can break down all the stats. Love yieldwatch.net. If you haven't checked them out, check them out.
They're great. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some zapping functions coming over to Binance Smart Chain in the near future.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. But we did have one more thing we wanted to cover for today's show, though. Hyper Jump. I don't know if you want to jump on that real quick to show us that project. But like, Cal showed me this one a few weeks ago, and this was a rebranded project, Thug Swap. And this project is super cool. I think it's definitely a game changer. They're looking to integrate in a lot of stuff. Cal, if you want to fill us in, like, what's going on with Hyperjump? What is it? And what's the really, really cool part about this project?
Yeah, so I've been a fan of Hyperjump for a while. Before they rebranded, I talked with some of the team members. It's a really super dedicated group of people. One of the things that I like about this is they've really kind of, in my opinion, streamlined the token process. So these are the different pools that you can get in. So the Alloy BNB, like 800%, the Hyper BNB, 310%. I'm not going to talk about the differences between these tokens right now, because that's for a whole different deep dive we can do. Yeah. But the whole idea is that you get into these yield farms and you get the Alloy token as reward. And so then what you do is you take this Alloy token and you can go over and you can create mechs with it. So you take your Alloy, you convert it into mechs, about a 5 Alloy to build 1 Hyper mech. And then what happens is, after you've got these mechs, you take those mechs and you can stake them in any one of these pools. So if you're just like, hey, I really like Ditto, it's a fun project, I'm going to take my mechs and I'm going to start staking them here, and now my mechs are creating Ditto. And so just Ditto is passively farming over time. The other cool thing that a lot of people don't realize is that as the mechs are staking in these pools, it's also giving you more Alloy. So you're actually able to double dip in these pools. Right. And get double rewards.
And dude, so like, this is the thing for me, like, and I had a hard time wrapping my head around this at first. Alloy is kind of the native token of this project, but Alloy kind of unlocks like all of these other mechanics inside of Hyperjump, like building mechs and then taking your mechs and staking them in these kind of single asset pools. And then you get more alloy on top of it. Like, this is a really cool concept to me. And you did mention like there's some sort of game that they can possibly come out with that's an actual like video game that will kind of somehow integrate into all this.
Yes. So one of the principles behind the Hyperjump protocol is that they're trying to gamify DeFi. So there's obviously some gamification going into the optimal strategy between your alloy and your mechs and some of these other farms, but they are also, and they just released a medium that came out, I believe, last night that talked about some of the ideas that they're actually trying to come up with. So they are actually in the process of creating a game that is going to incorporate some of these tokens, probably alloy. I don't know about the other ones, but there's going to be some interaction between the game and the yield farms, or the game and the tokens, or there's going to be some kind of mechanism that's going to allow this to kind of be better. It's going to debut on Discord first, because the Hyperjump has a very strong and flourishing Discord community. And then after that, you know, depending on how that goes, and if they're able to get their devs where the devs need to be, then they can, of course, branch out into other areas as well.
That's awesome, man. And I love this project because for me, like, I think the perfect trifecta of blockchain is like the intersection of DeFi, of gaming, and the blockchain itself. It's like this perfect triangle. And if it seems like this project is kind of getting to that point, they kind of have this gamification of the actual DeFi protocol, and then they're actually trying to build possibly what could be a game at some point, which could mix into this, where it's like, hey, what if you earned like real in-game assets that you could then stake in these pools and then earn more alloy? And it's like, it kind of just continually like feeds off of each other. And I love this idea.
Yeah, I'm super excited about what they're doing. And one of the things that the team has really put a lot of time into is figuring out, you know, what's going to be Alloy's utility. Because if we look at all these other yield farms, you know, SWGB, I have no idea what it does, but well, you know, let's find, you know, it's you're creating a lot of it, but what does it do? Do we just sell it to make more money? That's fine. That's cool. I'm down with that. But if we can introduce a little more utility, whether it's in the yield farm ecosystem, if it's a blockchain, if it's some kind of a gaming thing, if it's just social tokens that people trade back and forth, the more the utility that you can inject into these projects, the more valuable it's going to be, which is exactly what we've seen with things like Ethereum, with things like BNB. You know, these are the utility tokens that are being used to power these blockchains. So if Alloy can do something like that, then it's just going to, you know, just uplift the entire ecosystem and just make everyone, you know, want it even more. It's going to drive up demand.
Exactly. I love it, man. No, I appreciate you showing us that. Cal had just dropped an enormous amount of knowledge on top of our dome today. We walked through Beefy. We talked about BSC, DeFi ecosystem, what's going on with that. We even learned about Hyperjump today. Cal, do you have any closing thoughts or words for our audience today, who's watching, who's listening, our loyal audience for BBlock and Cal's Corner now?
The loyal audience to Cal's Corner. I love it. The only things that I would say, because I talk with people about crypto all the time. It's not too early to get into Bitcoin, to get into crypto. There's still so much opportunity out there. Whatever avenue you want to go, if it's Bitcoin, if it's Ethereum, if it's Binance Smart Chain, just find something, do your own research, learn, read about it. The other part of this is that if you are in these yield farms, if you're into trading at all, I don't recommend anybody do trading, because you're going to probably lose your money based on statistics. So the goal of trading is just to survive. Figure out how much you're willing to lose, figure out what your risk strategy is, figure out your timelines, figure out as much as possible. Because if you don't do your due diligence beforehand, you will get wrecked. And Benton, you and I know a few people who have gotten absolutely wrecked because they didn't do those things.
We do. It's so easy to get wrapped up in like your emotions sometimes with this stuff. And it's important. Sometimes you got to pay that education up front. And I think sometimes it's important to recognize too, like, don't get greedy with this stuff. It's like I think you and I talked about this a few weeks ago. It's like low hurdles. If you could make $100 a day doing trading, like, would you do that? That adds up, over the course of a month. It's like, that's $3,000 a month. Like, and you add that up over the year, it's like, small wins in this game. And I think sometimes we get wrapped up with, oh my gosh, we're going to get a Lambo tomorrow. It's like, it takes time. So educate yourself. You're going to make mistakes, but learn from those mistakes and then apply them moving forward. And like Cal said, it's never too late to get into crypto. It's funny, real quick story is I had a friend pay for like a meal for me. I was like, well, dude, here's the deal. The only issue is I can only send you crypto, and he wasn't a crypto guy. So he's like, all right, well, I guess, I'll set up a wallet now because, like if I owe him anything moving forward, I'm going to pay him in crypto. So if you're looking to get in the crypto game, it's never a bad time.
It's never a bad time. Just if you can accept crypto for services, that's great. That's awesome. One more thing I'll say about slowly stacking up gains over time is that some people feel that trading, larger sums of money is different than trading smaller sums of money. In my experience, the only difference that I've observed is that the emotions that are involved when you're trading 4, 5, heaven forbid, 6 or 7 figures. If you can start small, if you can stack small gains over time, and the yield farm is $5, $10, whatever you can throw in there. I know in some countries, $5 or $10 goes a really long way. So just determine what your budget is, what you're willing to lose, what you're willing to gain, and make that money and then get in and get out.
That's right. That's the yield farming way of life, is get in and get out before the rug gets pulled, man.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Well, Cal Toro, I appreciate you joining today's show. This was Cal's Corner on BBlock. Until next time, guys, thanks for joining.
Hit up my Twitter.
Wait, what is your Twitter?
My Twitter, it's exactly as my screen name is here, Caltoro _. So if you search for Caltoro and you find the avatar, it's me.
Good deal. All right. You heard it first. Cal Toro, the man, the myth, the legend. We appreciate you joining in today, man.
My pleasure. Let's do it again soon.